Hey guys, we're on the Norwegian Bliss, and for this video, what I thought I would do is kind of share with you some information on all of the ports that we'll be going to, some of the things that we've done. We're actually on the last day, so I thought I would just sit down and tell you a little bit of information while it's still fresh in my head about where the Norwegian Bliss actually docks and some of the things that we have done while we've been in port, along with the temperature, because I thought it might help you out a little bit if you're planning a trip around the same time that we have just went, that it might help you a little bit. Today I just want to share with you a few of the things that we've done while on board. I'll show you some clips of all the places that we've went and just give you some information. If you're trying to plan a cruise and you're trying to plan it on the Norwegian Bliss, this should give you a lot of helpful information. So the Norwegian Bliss does depart from Pier 66 in Seattle. So I'm traveling with my husband and my two kids that are 7 and 9. They love the Splash Academy. So day one, when we were in Seattle, we went and got them registered during the time slot so they could go to the Splash Academy. They absolutely love it. The staff there are so great. So I think that's between ages 5 and 12. And then they have the Guppies, which are for, I think, 6 months to 5 years, I believe is that one. And then they have the Teen Entourage, which is your teenagers, 13 to 17. So there's also your main dining rooms, which is the Manhattan room, which to me, I have found it to be a little bit slower than Savor and Taste. Savor and Taste are on the same deck right across from each other, and they're basically identical, but they seem to go a little bit faster than the Manhattan. So if you have show times you're trying to make or things like that, you might want to consider them. They're smaller. The Manhattan room is the biggest of the complimentary dining rooms, but you have 3 complimentary dining rooms. The Manhattan, which is the largest, and then you have Taste and Savor, which are a little bit smaller and more intimate. And you also have the local bar and grill, which is the only thing that's open 24/7. Actually, this cruise differed a little bit from last year. Last year when we were on the Bliss in June of 2022, they actually had where the Garden Cafe on the 16th floor would close at 9:30, and then they would have late night snacks between 9:30 and 11:30. And this year they didn't do that. So they actually did away with that. Actually, we were on the Norwegian Breakaway in September of last year, and they also had the 9:30 to the 11:30 late night snacks. So I'm not sure what's happened between last September to this September, but they're no longer doing the late night snacks from 9:30 to 11:30. So after 9:30 p.m., if you're looking for any kind of food on the ship, you have to go to the local bar and grill to get any kind of late night snacks, which is also a limited menu as well. So that's your dining options for complimentary on board. Also on the 15th floor, the observation deck also has food at certain times that the cafe is closed between like lunch and dinner, or between breakfast and lunch. You can get some little snacks, some cold snacks and things like that. So we're actually on the 15th floor this year, and we were on the 15th floor last year. And I really love this floor because of the fact that it's so close to the observation deck. Really nice to just hang out there, play cards and things like that. They also have a bar if you're interested in that one. And it's great to just see the wildlife, especially if you don't have a balcony room or anything like that. So day one basically is your embarkation. And I think we left at 5 or 5:30, one of those 2 times. And then day 2 is at sea all day long. So be prepared for that. You're going to be at sea on day 2. Then on day 3, we did port in Sitka. Oh, I just want to kind of give you an idea. So when we left Seattle with the weather, it was rainy and probably in the 60s. Not too bad, but it was a cool rain. And on the day at sea, it was between 60 and 70 degrees. So the kids were actually able to go and swim in the little kids aqua park and do the water slides and things like that. Tons of people were doing all the water slides, the adults. And it was really pretty good temperature for the end of September going toward Alaska. So then day 3, we arrived in Sitka, Alaska, and the temperature there was really nice. It was a sunshiny day. All the people there, wherever we went, said it was a really beautiful day, especially for this time of year in Sitka. And the temperatures were probably in the 60s. My kids actually wore t-shirts. I did wear like a polar fleece because that's what I had been prepared for, but they layered and they were in their t-shirts and they were very comfortable. We arrived at 11 a.m. and it was all aboard at 5:30 p.m. So we actually rented a car. The person actually delivered it to the terminal for an additional fee. So it was real convenient to get to that. The first place we wanted to go to was the Fortress of the Bears. It is such a nice place. So they do walk-ins, but their website actually says that they will not do walk-ins. You have to be on an organized tour on days where there's more than one ship in port. So the day we were there, we were the only ship in port. So we were able to walk right in and pay the admission fee for the Fortress of the Bear. A really nice place where they have these 2 sisters that are in this one area. So they have a total of 8 bears there at the Fortress of the Bear, and it's really nice. We were able to get there before all the tour groups got there. So we kind of had the place almost to ourselves. And then we also wanted to go to well points because I had researched and it had said that there was some that was a spot where you could see whales some of the time. We went, did this little boardwalk path. We didn't see any kind of wildlife at all while we were there, but it was a neat little walk around the water's edge. And then the Heritage Park has the totem poles, and you can do a walk through and see all of the great totem poles. They have a visitor center. You can get a little bit more information about that as well. So when you get off the ship at Sitka Sound, because that's where the Norwegian Bliss does dock, you don't have to tender, it does dock right there. There is an area where you'll meet all your tour groups. There's a few little shops there right off of the dock, and then also there's a free shuttle that takes you into town, which will take you to the downtown area, and it will drop you at the visitor center. So once you're at the visitor center, there's actually a sea walk, but the sea walk is closed right now, and it says it will be reopening in 2024. They're doing some major reconstruction on it, so I don't know if you have that planned or not, but you might want to check the schedule of when that's actually going to be open in 2024, because as of right now it's completely torn down and it is like signs everywhere saying that it's closed. But that is a really good area to walk from where the shuttle drops you at the downtown area. There's a science center that you can go to. You can also get to the Totem Pole Park, the Heritage Center that I was talking about. And I think there's also, a Sheldon Museum that's all along that way. And it's really not that bad of a distance from where they drop you off at the visitor center. There's also lots of restaurants. There's the Russian church that's so popular there. We actually stopped and ate at the Mean Queen because of the fact that my husband loves deep dish pizza, and they had some really great deep dish pizza there. I was surprised to find that in Alaska, and it's real true Chicago deep dish pizza. So then we also decided that we were going to go up on the top of this mountain and see the harbor view. I think it was called Harbor Mountain. It is a narrow road, and we'll meet people, and there's a few turnoffs along the way, but it is a winding road to the top. But it has some beautiful views. There's also a trailhead. We didn't have time to do any kind of trails there, but it was a beautiful view, and you could see the ship down at the harbor. So that was in Sitka. It was an absolutely beautiful day, temperatures in the 60s. And lots of different things that we were able to do in port. So I don't know if I told you the dates or not, but this trip was from September the 23rd through September the 30th. So this was a 7-night toward the end of September. And when I spoke to a lot of the people that worked within all the ports that we went to, they said that they were closing down most of this stuff in the next 2 weeks. So we were one of the last of the cruise ships that go into port during the Alaska season. So on day 4 was Juneau. We rented another car. They had it parked at a really great, convenient place for us to be able to pick it up at. And we wanted to get to the Mendenhall Glacier first off before all the tour groups went there. So we arrived at 7 a.m. and it was all aboard at 1. It didn't give us a lot of time at all in Juneau. We were at the AJ dock. So when you docked there, we weren't in the downtown area. There were a few ships, the Royal Caribbean, and I think there was a Princess that was actually in the downtown area, where when you get off, you're right where all the shops are, and the Mount Roberts Tramway. Actually, I think they've changed the name to that to maybe Gold Belt Tramway or something like that. It used to always be called Mount Roberts. That's what I know it as. But with the Norwegian Bliss, we do dock at the AJ dock, which is, I think, a mile from the downtown area. So it is within walking distance if you did decide you wanted to walk to the downtown area. But they do have free shuttles that also take you and drop you at the downtown area. But we had a rental car, so the first place we went was the Mendenhall Glacier. We went there, we visited the visitor center, watched a short, probably 10-15 minute video about Mendenhall Glacier and how it has receded within the years. If you're not on a tour bus, then you do have to go to the visitor center bookstore to pay your admission. I think it was $5 for me and my husband, and the kids were free, I believe. So we started on the Nugget Falls Trail, which is a 2-mile there and back trail. So 1 mile out and 1 mile back. And there's a picture point area. We didn't go to it because Nugget Falls takes you out to that little sandy rocky beach that's right there by Nugget Falls, and you can get some really great pictures of Nugget Falls. But if you want a good picture of the glacier and Nugget Falls, the best place I was able to get a picture was actually from the visitor center. You could see out there, and it was really great. And then you can also take some pictures and videos at Nugget Falls. It's really nice to take that trail. I think it probably took us maybe an hour round trip, because I know when you're on the tour bus, last year we did it on a tour and we had an hour and a half there. So if you do have an hour and a half there, you have enough time to leisurely walk to Nugget Falls, stay there for a little bit, and come back to get your bus. There's also like the regional transit there that will actually take you close to the Mendenhall Glacier, and it's a $2 fee. So you can get on the bus, the public transportation bus, for $2. It will take you a mile and a half from. So there's a stop as we were driving in our rental car up there. We saw where the bus would stop you, and there is a paved sidewalk that you can walk. So you don't have to worry about traffic or anything like that. It is a paved sidewalk from where the bus stops to the Mendenhall Glacier if you want to take that route and be a little bit more budget friendly. I did notice there were some taxis that were sitting there. There was only like 3 spots for taxis, and if you decided that you wanted to take a taxi there, maybe get their number and call them to have them come and pick you back up, because there was only 3 spaces for taxis there, but they were there sitting and waiting on people to take them back to the ship or to the downtown area. We also stopped by the salmon hatchery. I thought it would be really cool for the kids to see that. So they had the baby salmon in that area, and then just a little small aquarium. The entrance fee is $5. They also have some short excursions from the cruise ship that will take you to the Mendenhall Glacier and the hatchery. It's really close to the ship's terminal. The hatchery is, and it was really neat. We stayed for about 30 minutes, and it was $5 for each person. I think maybe my 7-year-old was free, but the 9-year-old did have to pay. But it was really neat and educational. You could do a little touch aquarium there as well. Really neat place to stay for 30 minutes. And we actually saw some seals that were climbing the salmon ladder there, so that was really fun to watch as well. So that's what we did in Juneau. It started off as a pretty day, and then it did start raining toward the end of the day. The temperatures were in the low 50s while we were at Juneau. So day 5 is Icy Straight Point. So we were there at the larger dock. There's 2 different docks there. The Norwegian Jewel was at the smaller dock, which is actually in the little small area there. It's not actually in the town of Juneau. You can take a shuttle there, but it was such a rainy day. It was cold and freezing. They have a gondola that's a red gondola that takes you up to the mountaintop. You can go up there. There's not really much to do at the mountaintop once you get there, except that if you're doing the zip rider, which I'm going to try to show you a clip of the zip rider that we did last year. We didn't do it this year. It has dramatically increased in price. And when we got there, we actually talked to people that had done it, and it was raining that day, and they said it was like ice pellets hitting their face, that they would have enjoyed it more if it wasn't raining. So when my husband and I did it last year, it was not raining. It was a gorgeous day. And a tip for you guys is, if you want to do the zip rider, maybe book it later in the day. And you do have to book that through the cruise line. You can't book it once you get there. Later in the day, because I noticed last year when we went, it was very foggy in the morning, and the fog lifts around noon. So if you can do it as late as you can, you might have a better chance of having a better ride. But that's really like the best thing to do there at Icy Straight Point. So they do have the red gondola that takes you to the mountaintop. There is a small little hike that you can do up there, but nothing much. There are plans to do some restaurants up there, but they don't have that done yet. They had a really cool ropes course for the kids that I was really excited. I never could find that as a short excursion, so I actually asked one of the workers there why they didn't have it open, and they said it was a staffing issue, that they couldn't get it staffed enough. But it's a great ropes course. I hope that they can get some staffing for that next year, because it's amazing for the little kids to do. It's really a good one. So you also have the green gondolas. They are free, and they will take you from where the Norwegian Bliss docks to into town, where they have the cannery, has a few shops, and it has some restaurants that you can check out. But it's a free gondola ride to get into that point. And then coming back, the line to get on the gondola was so long, so we decided we would do the nature trail. So you have signs pointing you to a nature trail that you can take that kind of goes along the side of where the gondola would take you. It's a 4-minute ride if you want to ride it into the little small town. And I think the price of the zip rider is now $269, I think. When we did it last year, it was $179, which was hard pill to swallow for 10 seconds, it felt like, but it was really worth it. But it has really dramatically increased in price this year. But that is Icy Straight Point, and you do have to ride a gondola or take a nature walk to get into any of the parts of the town there that has I think it's called the Cannery. They have a little small museum there, and some shops and some restaurants there as well. And that day it rained all day long, and it was in the low 50s. Day 6 is Ketchikan, and it was a really nice day. We had talked to one of the drivers there, and that took us to the shuttle to downtown, and he said it was the prettiest day they had had in a while. It had been raining every single day, so no rain the day we were in there, but we were in there for such a short period of time. We docked at 6:30, and we had to be all aboard at 12:45. We actually booked a short excursion through the cruise line. This was the only short excursion that we booked through the cruise line. We booked the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show. The reason that I wanted to book this one through the cruise line was because it's an hour long and it's right there in town by the fish house, which there was a line to get into the fish house when it opened at 10 a.m. that was so long. So I'm going to assume that that is some really good food at the fish house. But the Lumberjack Show is right beside it. You can actually go and do walk-up tickets, but we did the short excursion tickets because the Norwegian Bliss does not dock downtown. Like there was the Princess and 2 Holland ships that were in the downtown area that were right, once you get off of the Princess ship, you're right in the middle of downtown. So with the Norwegian Bliss, we are 7 miles from downtown. So where we actually port at, you have to take a shuttle. So you go through a terminal that actually has a lot of shops in the terminal. If you want to just do souvenir shopping there, you can do that. That's where you also meet your tour groups. So we were supposed to meet our tour group for the Lumberjack Show there, but because it was at 10 o'clock and we had gotten off at 8 o'clock, we wanted to go into town, do a little bit of shopping and see the Creek Street. So instead of coming back, we were able to just meet there at the Lumberjack Show. But then we did have a shuttle that was provided by Norwegian to come back since we were on a booked short excursion, because we were supposed to meet at 10 o'clock for an 11 o'clock show. And we were supposed to be all aboard at 12:45, and it takes about 20 minutes to shuttle you back in. So the last shuttle that would take you from the terminal into downtown was at 10:45. The last shuttle back to the ship was at 11:45. The shuttle drops you off about 15 minutes from the downtown area, so you have to walk a little bit of ways to get to the downtown shopping. The shuttle will drop you off and you'll have different people, local people trying to do red trolley tours and things like that. And I saw a lot of people getting off the ship and doing that. But I was nervous because our Lumberjack Show started at 11, was not over with till 12. There would have been no way for us to do a walk-up show because we would have not been able to get back, because it would have taken us 15 minutes to walk to the shuttle, and the shuttle had stopped running at 11:45. So because we booked it through the ship, we were able to get on the shuttle coming back. I think we made it back at about 12:30, and it was all aboard at 12:45. We went up to Creek Street. There was some salmon there. We also saw some seals there at Creek Street. That's where Dolly's house is, the famous Dolly's house. And then we walked down to the Lumberjack Show. Right beside the Lumberjack Show, beside the fish house, is another little area that has a couple of restaurants, and it also has some shops and some public restrooms at that area if you're waiting to get into the Lumberjack Show. But that is what we did at Ketchikan, was the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show. It's really cool. They compete Canada against the United States. It was really fun to watch. The kids really enjoyed it, so that's something great to do with the kids. That was Ketchikan. It was a really beautiful day, no rain in sight, and it was in the low 60s, upper 50s that day. So the last stop on day 7 is Victoria, British Columbia. The temperature is in the 50s. We don't get in until 8 p.m. and we leave at 11:30 p.m. So there was not a lot of short excursions to do. There was like a highlights by night thing. We actually did this same itinerary last year in June when it was a little bit where it stayed lighter more parts of the day. Now the sun will set around 6:30, so it's going to be dark once we get into port. So I'm not really sure what exactly we're going to do. We might not even get off the ship here in Victoria, British Columbia. But we're still sailing there right now. I wanted to go ahead and do this while my kids were at Splash Academy, and I actually had some calmness to kind of give you a little bit of a review of the trip so far. So Victoria, British Columbia is tonight. I feel like last year when we came, we didn't really have anything to do. We walked down to like the little fisherman's thing. Everything was closed. None of the restaurants were open. None of the shops were open by the time that we got in. I think basically Victoria is just the place that the cruise docks, so they can say they had an international port, and we just don't really stay here very long, and it's dark, so there's not a lot to do except to walk around in the dark. But from what I've heard, if you have something that does the Victoria highlights by night, that is very beautiful. But I do believe that they have shuttles that take you into the downtown area. They are not free. Last year, I believe they were either $7 or $15 last year to take you into the downtown area. You can walk. It does take a little while to walk, but I mean, we're only here from 8 to 11:30, so it doesn't give you a lot of time to do very much at all. But the temperature is going to be in the 50s. Not supposed to be any rain, but we will see once we get there. Actually, at sea right now, it's absolutely beautiful. The sun is shining. It's such a pretty day at sea heading into Victoria, British Columbia. But that is the itinerary for the Norwegian Bliss. I hope this has been helpful to maybe help you to prepare for the trip, because I like to know where I'm going to dock at, especially because we did a rental car through Toro, so we didn't actually do Avis or any of the major car lines. So we kind of needed to know where we were going to be at, so that when we paid the extra for the drop off, we would know where to tell them to drop the vehicle off. It was very convenient. I really enjoyed the 2 days that we had the rental car. That was the most budget friendly that we could do, because I mean, we're a family of 4. And all your shore excursions are so expensive. In Juneau, if you wanted to do a whale watch, it's $250 per person. So for a family of 4, it would have cost us $1,000 to do a whale watch. So you have to have something in mind that you want to do, and maybe not book things through the ship itself, because it can get very pricey. So we were able to rent a car, and we were able to do all the things that we wanted to do. Different ways that you can save some money while you're on board, or you can go all out and do all of the ship excursions on all of the different ports and really spend money. But we try to be very budget friendly on this. I mean, Norwegian is kind of pricey. We did get a balcony room on the 15th floor, but we only did one shore excursion through the cruise, and that was in Ketchikan for the lumberjack show, just because we were scared we wouldn't be able to get back with that time of show, and we wanted to do a little bit of shopping beforehand. But other than that, there are some ways that you can be a little bit more budget friendly. So like in Sitka, you could just go to the visitor center and be able to walk. Within 1 mile, you've got a science center for the kids. You've got a museum that tells you a little bit about Sitka. You also have the Heritage Park. All of that is within walking distance, and a lot of rich history within walking distance of where the shuttle takes you. And you don't really actually have to spend a lot of money to do some shore excursions. So there are ways that you can get by with being a little bit more budget friendly, especially if you're traveling with the family, because I know Alaska is a bucket list trip for a lot of people. People save up for so long for these Alaska trips. So if you want to be a little bit more budget friendly, there are some ways that you can get by without having to do those expensive whale watching excursions. But if you do want to see whales, you cannot do like us. There were 2 places that we went to try to find some whales. Oh, I forgot. When we were in Juneau, St. Therese was one of the places that we tried to find some whales, and we just did not look out on finding whales. But we did find a whale beside our balcony on the way from, I think it was from Ketchikan. After leaving Ketchikan yesterday, we did see some whales blowing, and then we saw the back just a little bit, and then we saw a deep tail dive. So we did see that off of our balcony with our binoculars, because it was a little bit way off from the ship, so we were able to see that with the binoculars. But if you really do want to see some whales, you do have to book those excursions. I would be a little bit leery of booking those without it being through the ship, just because of the fact that you can take a little bit more time with those, and I would be a little bit more cautious with doing that. But if you want to see a whale watching tour, it is going to be a little bit pricey, especially if you have a large family, then it can really get up there. But I hope this has been very helpful to you guys on where the Norwegian Bliss docks and some of the things that you can do while you're in port, maybe some things that will save some money as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also, I would love to have you consider hitting that subscribe button. I do weekly videos on fashion, beauty, and lifestyle, and I also have travel vlogs for every vacation that we do. So I would love to have you hit that subscribe button. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day.